Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be revisiting an old project. I want to clear out my fabric stash a little bit, get some more room. So, I'm going to be revisiting this dress that I tried to make probably about a year ago, a little under a year ago. If I have footage from that left over, I'll probably insert some of it throughout. Alright, so here I am at Joann's because what else is new in my life? So today I'm gonna do something a little different that I promised myself that I would never do again. I promised myself I would never wait until the last minute to make myself dress for a thing, and here I am at approximately 5:15. I have somewhere I need to be tomorrow at 5:30, all ready to go. So I guess I hate myself, which is why I've decided I'm gonna make a new dress for it. So, the ladies, I'm going to a swing dance, and if ladies wear red, we get $1 off our admission. So the dress I was gonna wear is blue, so I figured, okay, why not? I don't really have anything red, so why don't I try to make something real quick? So it'll be a fun little 24-hour challenge, so I'm here at Joann's. I'm gonna look for a pattern and maybe some fabric. I have some fabric back home, but it's actually a sheet. It is red though, so I'm gonna see if I can find a better deal or something. I'm thinking something kind of more like off the shoulder. I definitely want that like more 50s silhouette, but I'm also thinking maybe 40s. I don't know. My strategy for picking a pattern is going to be I'm going to see what brand is on sale for either 99 cents or $1.99 pattern, and I'm going to pick something from that brand. So yeah, I have no idea what's gonna happen yet, so stay tuned. Alright, so I'm back from my trip to Joann's. I didn't get a pick of the fabric because I want to get it in the wash right away so I can get started on it sooner. But I picked up a couple of things. So this is the pattern that I decided I was going to go with. Vintage Vogue V1084. So, I don't know, I just thought it was pretty. I like the tie in the back. So this is what I'm going with. And the fabric that I picked, it's a red and white cotton checked twill. It looks like gingham, but it's not. It's a lot heavier because I thought a heavier fabric would look better with the neckline up there. So I picked that. Also, the fabric was on sale for, let me find my receipt over here. The fabric was on sale for 70% off, so it would have normally been $100 and I got it for $30. So yeah, go me, excellent. I also went ahead and picked up these two patterns because I thought they were cute and they might make for fun future projects. I was gonna go with this dress, but it has some detailing around the bust you can't really see there. You can see it here, that I wasn't confident would actually work with my bust. So I didn't want to pick this as a last minute project and then mess it up and then not be able to fix it in time. So I picked, you know, a much more difficult pattern. I also got some bias tape because it said I would need it, so I have that. I also got some in red, and I got some thread and a 12-inch white invisible zipper. So I was reading the back of the pattern and it doesn't say anything about interfacing or any other kinds of notions, so hopefully this is all I need. So the fabric is supposed to be line dry only, but I need to get started on this like tonight, so I think I'm just gonna dry it on low. So it was a 60-inch fabric, so I should only need 4 yards, but I went ahead and got 6. So if it shrinks a little bit, I'll just deal with it. So yeah, I'm just waiting for that to finish washing. And then I'm actually probably gonna go hang out with some friends for a little bit right now while that happens. So yeah, I'll check in later. This video, this is Vogue, Vintage Vogue V1084. So it's this dress right here. And I have some of the pattern pieces already laid out on this fabric. So this is the fabric I have for it. There's a little bit of stretch in it, which I think I took into account when I was laying out the pattern pieces a while ago, but I'm not entirely sure. So I was looking through the directions for this dress, and there's only one page of directions, so it seems like it's going to be very straightforward. The only problems that I anticipate right now is one, this fabric is really thick, which means it's really heavy, and there's going to be about 6 yards of it in this dress, and this is That's pretty heavy. So the I think the seams are going to have a decent amount of tension on them just from the weight of the fabric itself. Another problem that I'm looking into is I don't know what I was thinking when I bought the pattern. I don't buy patterns off of my measurements, which I really should. According to my measurements, I should be closer to the size 16. Camera doesn't want to focus today. All right, but I should be closer to a size 16, and this pattern only goes up to a size 12. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to grade this 12 for a 14, and then if I ever wear this dress out, I would probably wear it with Spanx, and patterns do usually tend to have a little bit of extra room and a little bit of extra give in them, so I'm not too incredibly worried about that. The other thing that's concerning me is I don't have really a suitable material to make a mock-up of this, and my original plan was I was going to make a mock-up of just the top, but if you look, so this is the front. Why won't my camera focus today? Okay, so this is the front and this is the back. There's no break here of the bodice. It is a continuous piece, and I really honestly don't feel like undoing all of this to do. I'm just really lazy, so I'm just gonna obsessively check the fit every time that I sew anything together. The third little issue that I'm seeing now that I'm actually looking at the directions is this would make you think that, you know, these two pieces kind of extend out and you tie them together in the back, which I would like the idea of, but that's not how it actually works. So the back is one camera strap. The back is one solid piece, and you just leave this tiny bit undone. And then you have this piece over here, which you sew and you make into the tie, and you just kind of tie it around there, which is kind of misleading because I thought that this would be two pieces tied together so you could adjust the fit, because every time I do, like, I make a dress, I always have problems in the fit of the bust, so that would kind of let me adjust, but that's not what's gonna happen. So we'll figure this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this fabric cut out. I might have to give it a quick re-iron, we'll see. And then, yeah, then I'll check back in. So first step is actually going to be take all of this off and re-iron this fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have a sewing buddy, and she's keeping watch over some of the stuff that I was working on yesterday. Good job, Guard Kitten. So what I just finished is ironing all 6 yards of this fabric twice over. It was a time. So when I'm looking at it, I noticed that I couldn't iron this well looking directly at it. I actually had to look at the reflection in the mirror to see where, like, the divots and where the wrinkles were. Oh god, I look so fat. So I decided that when I fold this over again to be able to cut stuff out, I'm actually going to keep the pattern on the inside. And also I think that way it'll allow me to line up the checks a little bit better, so I'll hopefully get really symmetrical pieces when I go to cut things out later. So I'm going to fold this over and then make some adjustments to the pattern and then cut everything out. So here are most of the pieces laid out. I have the pieces 5 and 6 for the side sections. Those I'm going to have to open this up and lay those out a couple of times and cut them out, because it's just, this isn't wide enough for me to be able to do it here. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cut out, and I guess I'm gonna have to clean off the floor in my kitchen because there's no other space in the house for me to open this up and cut things out. So wish me luck. I forgot to mention a second ago, I am on the long torso struggle bust, so I did add an inch at all of the waistline places where it told me to lengthen or shorten there. So I added an inch to the waistline because that's pretty standard on what I have to do for every pattern that I've ever tried. So yeah, I just went ahead and did that. So one thing I do want to point out about having to grade to a bigger size is for a lot of these situations where, like, the biggest size is the lowest one, you're cutting off basically anything that you would need to make a smaller size later, or to make one of an actual size later. So I just wanted to point that out because that was something that I didn't think of until I'm looking at all of these scraps right now and seeing the grade markings. So yeah, if you're unsure, about, you know, getting a, or rather just, you know, make sure that your pattern size matches your measurements when you buy it. So here are all the pieces opened out. I'm gonna cut that out, then rinse and repeat. I can already tell now I'm probably gonna have probably almost a full yard of excess fabric. Let me pop on real quick and just talk over some math for a second. So if you were paying attention, which I had such a big break I was not, I bought 6 yards of that fabric and the pattern told me that I only needed 4. So when I come on and I say I had 1 yard of XX fabric left over and it came out to be actually a little bit less than that, that tells me that the pattern was wrong and you're going to need close to an extra 1.5 yards. So if you're making this, be prepared to buy 6 yards because that's probably what you're going to wind up needing, because 4 was most certainly not enough. Alright, so now I have all the pieces cut out. So what I'm going to do is have a snack, then I'm going to cut all the notches and make marks of all the marks and then get to sewing. Alright, all my pieces are notched and marked, so I'm going to go ahead and start. So step 1, I need to reinforce the lower inner corner of front. It says pivoting at small circle as shown, clip to small circle. So on the pattern there wasn't a small circle unless they're talking about this one that forms part of the dart, but honestly that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But it kind of looks like what they're trying to do. It kind of looks like it should go that far in. But I double checked and there's no other mark here on this pattern. So I'm going to take a look at the front side piece that goes in here because I think it's supposed to match in there with something. I don't know, but I'm going to try to figure that out. And when I do, so that's just a real quick stitch right there. That's going to be easy once I figure out where to do it. This part is going to be a little bit more difficult. So this is to reinforce sleeve edge of front, cut 2 pieces of seam binding, each 3 inches long, which I have over here. So basically I just need to bind this corner, and something about I need to fold on the up here to this big dot. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. On outside, place 1 strip of seam binding slightly over seam line, folding in fullness at large circle as shown. So this is the large circle. Stitch close to edge, pivoting at large circle, clip to large circle. Turn seam binding and seam allowance to inside as shown in press. So I'm not 100% sure what it wants me to do there. I think what I have to do is I have to like stitch it on whatever side I need to. I think I need to like stitch it here and then clip all the way up to there and then turn it inwards up to here. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I'll try to figure it out and let you know what I come up with. Okay, I figured it out. So on this, for this lower one, you do clip to this dot over here, because if you look at the next illustration, you can see that it is slashed all the way over to the dart. So I'm going to reinforce that there. And then up here, I figured it out, and you do this on the outside or on the right side. So you're going to open this up and you're going to stitch here, then you're going to fold it and pivot and make this side all nice and neat, like that, like so. So this is going to set up for the seams to turn under and all that later. So you're just going to sew. I'm going to sew here, pivot, stay in focus, stay on camera, sew that down, and then slash it, and then you turn it over to the other side and fold it to the underside so that all the messy stuff is on the inside. All right, so I'm like 99% sure that's how you do it, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done. All right, so here are my sleeve things reinforced. They're not very pretty at all, but they'll do the job. So, oh, I haven't clipped my threads yet. I got to do that next. But the next major step is to stitch dart in front, press towards center. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then it looks like after that, I pin the bodice side front to this. Oh, I do also have to e-stitch this section right here. So I'll also do that. While I'm waiting for my iron to heat up so I can press this open. That was a royal pain trying to match all this up and going around the corners because there's like no room for error. It really seems like it would be easier to sew this before you do the dart so that you'd have more than, you know, 2 millimeters of room to spare. I'm probably gonna have to take a needle and thread later and just kind of hand tack those corners down because that was a royal pain. I didn't like that part. So now I'm going to press the seams the way that they need to be, and then you stitch the center seam. Alright, so the front is all pieced together. I went ahead and pressed this part, or the center seam open. So now I'm going to start working on the back. I'm just going to do this all in one shot. So I have the darts folded here, and I have the center back seam ready to go. So I'm just going to stitch those down real quick and press this open, and I think these get pressed towards the back. I'll double check that, but yeah, I'm just going to go do that real quick. Alright, so now everything is pressed the direction it's supposed to. Here's the little opening. So when sewing this, I just sewed, did a little reinforcement, skipped a little bit, sewed, and then sewed all the way down. So now I'm going to just kind of whip stitch this down. That's also in the directions. They call it a catch stitch, but I'm just gonna tiny little whip stitch just to keep this down when the tie comes through. And then next step is to get the sleeve back basted on. Or sewn on, which I think is going to be super easy, so I think I'm just going to do that off camera real quick and get back. Okay, I lied. So the sleeves are a little bit weird. So what happens is this long curvy side is what gets attached to the arm side over here. So, I mean, you do it on the correct side and edges and all that, but you match up these notches. You start here, and then at this circle over here is where you stop sewing, and then this just kind of hangs off, and you press the seam allowance when you press things when you need to, and then that, I guess, gets attached to something else later. So yeah, I'll figure it out. Alright, sleeves are sewn on and taken care of for now. So now I start to work on the skirt. That's pretty straightforward, so just the center back is going to get stitched together, and then the side back are going to get stitched together, or to the back. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll come back when it's time for the pleats. So the pleats are done. I forgot I was going to show y'all how I did that, but I just took a needle and did a running stitch here to baste it, and then I just basted that by machine real quick to keep that so it has a lot of fullness in the back. So now what I'm going to do, or what the instructions tell me to do, is to pin this to the back of the bodice. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm skipping around some steps because it's really intuitive and straightforward. So I sewed the back to the skirt back, then I sewed the tops of the shoulder seams together, and now I'm sewing all along the sides, except for the left side. I'm leaving the space open for the zipper. So this is where I'm at right now. Not gonna lie, I'm not 100% feeling this. I just have it kind of safety pinned where the zipper's going to be. Let me put on some Spanx and maybe a petticoat real quick and see if that changes my opinion. Alright, so I definitely think that helps, but this dress is honestly just so heavy that I think I need an actual, like, boned crinoline in here. Yeah, I kind of, like, tacked up the hem where I'm probably going to want it. Honestly, I think just this print was a really poor choice to make this dress, because it just, I don't think it looks good, and the print itself isn't flattering. Like, I know I am bloated beyond belief right now, so this is, you know, the whitest that I have been in a very long time, but I don't know, I'm just not really feeling the checks for this, which is kind of a shame, because that's what I originally, I don't know, maybe I'll try to find some like pretty red lace or like some white lace and do some applique work over this, but I don't know, I'm still gonna keep going because it's definitely wearable, but I need something here. And like this looks really weird, and this looks kind of weird, and I don't really think there's anything that can be done for that because that's just how small this pattern is. So I'm just gonna keep going and try to finish this, and yeah, see what happens from there. I actually might take the waistline up by about maybe half an inch, because I don't think I actually needed to extend a full inch. I think that might help shortening this torso a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is work on the facing, which is for the most part pretty straightforward, except for the fact that these shoulder pieces don't match up like at all. Like I'll show you on the pattern pieces, you can see that like the this like L-shaped piece is a lot bigger than how it should match up to piece number 7. So I think you just match like the short sides to the triangle and then just let it hang off the edge here, which I guess makes sense. But while I'm at the machine, I thought I would go and skip a step real quick and go on to sewing the tie. But this is really confusing because this tells you with right sides together, stitch the tie sections together, leaving an opening. And the way that this is diagrammed makes it look like you're supposed to have 2 number 9 pieces and then stitch them together. But on this piece, it says cut 1. And then if you go to all of the diagrams that show you how to lay out the fabric, it has you, cut out one of them for this one, which is a little confusing. So I think what I'm gonna do is just fold this in half, even though it's not gonna look like the picture anymore. So I'm just gonna fold this in half and just do like a really narrow stitch all the way around to tie it off and do it like that, even though it no longer has the shape that they're looking for here. So that's kind of confusing, and honestly I think the narrower one will look better anyway, but that's just something to be aware of. I guess that kind of slipped past the copy editors. So I'm not entirely sure where I left off. It is now the second day, but before I quit for last night, I went ahead and I faced the neckline, so that's done. I also tacked it down at the seams like it told me to, so that's done. The next thing I have to do is I have to hem this section right here, the sleeves. So the directions tell me to use some bias binding and bind the sleeves before I turn them inwards. I think I'm just going to turn them inwards once just because this material is so thick. And also this is a really tight knit weave, so I haven't had any problems with it fraying yet, so I really don't think it's going to fray. So I'm just going to turn that under the once. And then I left this up to hang overnight so that the threads could settle a little bit. So I'm probably going to hem this. I think the pattern said that I had a 3-inch hem allowed. I think I'm going to hem it closer to 4 or 5 inches because that's the length that looks a little bit cuter and a little less frumpy on me. So once I get that done, I'm going to come back to the front with a hand needle and I'm going to tack up these corners right here. Take care of that real quick, and then I think I'm gonna be able to call this done. Oh, I forgot to mention that I also made the tie, so that's ready to go whenever I'm finished. I also wanted to talk about the zipper. So this is basted shut real quick so that I could install the zipper the way that they wanted me to. So I did get an invisible zipper, but you can't really see it. I did get an invisible zipper, but in my experience, invisible zippers don't like being in the side seam. I've never had one going correctly whenever I do a side seam, and if it does go in, then it never wants to zip up. I don't know if that's just me, it's probably just me, but in my experience, invisible zippers don't like curves when they're installed as invisible zippers. So I'm just going to install this as a regular zipper, but it just happens to be an invisible one. So that's actually going to be my next step, is sewing in the zipper, and then I can hem everything. So just a quick talk through of what's going to happen with the zipper. So the zipper is really loosely basted onto the seam allowance. The seam allowance, or the seam, is basted shut. So this is basted on, and what's going to happen is I'm going to flip this to the outside. I put a pin at the top and bottom just so I know where it is I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch away from this seam line on either side, come down, and then come back up and make a box. So hopefully that'll work out well. Honestly, it probably would have been easier to do this before sewing up the other side seam so that I could have a little bit easier maneuverability to get this section flat into my machine, but I'm not too concerned, but you know, things to think about. So it's sort of, you can sort of see where I sewed. It looks absolutely awful. I had to go over one part of it twice because it just didn't catch on the other side. I see the appeal of doing this method, but I think it works a lot easier when you have the fabric completely flat and open and you don't have to worry about shoving 6 yards of material around, you know, through here to try to get everything in one continuous stitch. So I'm going to take the basting stitches out of the seam and see what happens. It's probably going to be terrible, and there's like a 95% chance I'm going to have to redo this anyway. If I redo this, I might try again doing it like they say I should, as an invisible zipper, instead of doing it this way, because I think that might, strangely enough, be easier than trying to maneuver it like this. So we'll see. So the zipper installed correctly and it works, but honestly, it looks atrocious. It is so visible. I'm going to rip this out and reinstall it as an actual invisible zipper and just hope for the best. So here's kind of what I wound up with. Here's the back. You can probably see that. There you go. There's the back of it. It's kind of cute. It fixes the fit a little bit. It's not great. I think this is supposed to like slouch a little bit more, but this material is really thick that it's just sticking up. I don't like the fit around the waist. Like, it's simultaneously too loose and too tight at the same time, which is really weird. I don't know what's up with that. Last thing I really have left to do is hem it. So I'm making my way around the skirt with some pins so I know where to do it. And yeah, this is pretty much it for now. I really don't like how that looks. Like, this looks so weird. I really don't like it. Fun fact, I trimmed off the excess fabric and the skirt hem is about 15 feet long. So here it is all hemmed. The hem needs another iron, but I'm gonna wait before I do that. I like it better than I did yesterday. Still not in love with it. I like the shape of it. It needs something. Like, I think it needs some white trim. Like, definitely along the hemline. Probably to cover up this thing, because like I said earlier, that's approximately 15 feet of fabric. So the hem of this skirt is approximately 15 feet long, and there's absolutely no way that I'm going to sew that by hand because I'm lazy. I think I need like a thick white like satin belt with like a giant bow in the back. I think that'll help to break this up a little bit. Either that or like a frilly white apron, something to cover this section up. I really don't like how the torso lined up. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this pattern. I think that it, I really don't think that I needed to grade it up to 14, size 14. I think size 12 would have been just fine. I was sewing everything with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. I probably only needed to add a 1/2 inch to the waist instead of a full inch, because this does add a little bit of extra fabric that I don't think I need. I don't know, maybe with like some more white to break all of this up, I might like it. So I don't think I have anything really in my stash that I can use right now, but yep, that's where I'm at right now. I think I definitely would like this better if I made it in a different fabric, or one that didn't have this like gingham check to it. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Alright, so it has been a couple weeks since I finished this dress, but I wanted to pop on and talk about kind of my final thoughts on the pattern and on the construction and such. So I just have it hanging up so I can talk. So the back does come out at, close my door. The back does kind of bulge out at a weird kind of pouch at the top, which I don't really like, and I think it would have been like, it is easier to make to have this tie be a separate piece and then knot it in the middle, but to actually adjust the fit, it would have been much more beneficial to actually find a way to face this tie and actually make it a proper tie to tie in the back. Another thing that I don't like about this pattern is it doesn't actually have you stitch down this this facing, which is on the inside, so it's not that big of a deal and it's really easy to do yourself, but I just think it would look a lot better and a lot neater and more professional if you did. So whenever I was tacking these down to these center seams and the shoulder seams, I just kind of buried the thread into the way I was going. The zipper. This definitely needs an invisible zipper. They don't say so on the pattern. I don't know if they were just using the original instructions and maybe invisible zippers weren't a thing back with the original set of instructions, but especially for a dress that's supposed to be kind of a nicer, more evening kind of gown or like a cocktail dress, this definitely needs an invisible zipper. And the way that they I don't know if it was just due to my inexperience, but the way that they told me to install the original zipper, just, it looked atrocious and it kind of bulged out at the seams kind of like pulled up and bulged out. It just didn't look very good at all. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I probably didn't need to drop the waist by a full inch. I think I did. I probably could have gotten away with half an inch. That being said, it's kind of hard to mock up just parts of this dress because like all of this, like I guess you could just kind of cut off the waist in a mock-up, but having all of this be one piece and then sewing these in separately kind of made it a little bit hard. I think it was just because of the weight of the fabric. This is a really heavy fabric, but this doesn't sit well at the top. I think it's supposed to like kind of be loose a little bit to have like a cowl neck, but it just sticks up at a weird angle. So I like the fullness of the skirt and I like the shape of the skirt. I did go ahead and just machine sew the hem because I couldn't be bothered to sew, I think, what was it, nearly 5 yards of hem. So if I wear this dress, and also I don't remember if I updated you, I did take a hand needle and reinforce the stitching up in these corners so there are no holes here, and I think it would have been really beneficial to have that as a final instruction in this the pattern, but that's just how it worked out. Yeah, if I'm going to wear this dress, I'll need to make like an apron or something, like something white, just to break all of this up, because especially how this pattern was so small and it kind of just turned into this big white section right in the middle. It just looks really weird on. The skirt looks great, but the top looks really weird. So I might decide to make an apron, or I might see if I can like put some lace or some flowers or something on there. Haven't decided yet. I have no idea if and when I would ever wear this dress, because I originally got the pattern and the material to go swing dancing in, but this material is so heavy, I would be worn out after 1 or 2 dances, so I don't know if that's gonna happen. I also imagine I would get real hot real quick. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad I just have this in my closet or on the back of my door right now, but I'm glad that I have it, and I learned a lot doing it, and I'm glad I pushed myself to finish making it. I just wish I just wish I had used a different fabric. I think that would have fixed a lot of the problems that I had. Alright, so today I decided that I wanted to try to clear out my fabric stash a little bit, so I'm revisiting an old project, and I'm going to go ahead and be making this. My camera is beeping a lot. That's weird. That's really weird. Oh! Hold on.